Now I'm focusing here on the bottom. I'm lightening the background of the grass. That's what this is, grass, by the way, in case you couldn't tell. We're having fun. Hi, I'm Kevin Hill, and today we're going to do something quite a bit different. I've got a nice little vertical canvas ready to go here. We're going to do a birch tree painting. I'm going to keep it simple and easy. We're going to use the palette knife and make it kind of abstract and just have some fun today. All right, let's get started. Well, today we've got a wacky start. It's one of those days already. I'm just plopping some paint down, and the reason is it looks funny. That's the reason. And I'm going to mush it around. See, my thought is, what if we just started kind of getting ourselves a blurry background, some basic color, and we didn't really worry about it? Let's just kind of, oh boy, it's gonna get weird already. Let's just sort of let it do what it wants to do, and we'll just see. How's that? The only thing I am gonna look for is my negative spaces. I'm just working on the background now. And of course, I'm just using my palette knife today. This is a baby wipe to keep my fingers clean. Anyway, I'm looking at my negative spaces. I'm gonna try to keep a lot of red around the outside because I wanna do blue, and blue and red make a pretty purple. Blue and yellow would make a green, which, because we're painting trees, is probably all right. Okay, I don't have a ton of paint. I'm using a 16 by 20, I think. Not my favorite size in the world. In fact, I think it's my least favorite size, but we're gonna use it anyway, so that's all I have that films vertically. 18 by 24, I'd be up here. We'll mash all this together down here too. This is going to be the easiest birch tree painting. It's going to be a lot of fun. Just something to do maybe with the end of the day. You've got some leftover paint. Maybe use it up doing a practice like this. People may like it. You never know. Hope so. I guess I don't know either. Now I'm focusing here on the bottom. I'm lightening the background of the grass. That's what this is, grass, by the way, in case you couldn't tell. We're having fun. Yeah. See how you can lift the paint up and move it around? You don't need to just leave it, where it is. Of course, I got my palette that I went ahead and just set up as normal. I didn't want to spend all day squirting the paints out, although it was kind of fun. There. Scrape that off. See how your canvas is stained? That's a lot like regular landscape painting, isn't it? When the canvas is stained, we wipe it off with a paper towel. That's what I'm doing right here. I've got some sap green in there, because why not? Makes for a nice grassy look. Got some beautiful tones of yellow ochre. And we're trying to, because we don't have the detail, this is a non-detailed painting for the most part, so we're trying to build the beautiful, light and just a beautiful overall effect. We're trying to build that with colors and with values. So that's all we've got to work with. It's a really good lesson, really good practice. You'd be surprised. If you're struggling with color mixing, just struggling overall, with a dull painting, try this out because this will help. I've got a nice purple tone mixed up, fairly light right there. I've got some clear gel that I'm adding to it, and that thins it down a little, which is okay. I really don't care about that so much, as it just extends the paint pile. I didn't mix up enough. You put the clear gel in, and all of a sudden you mixed up enough. And I'm going to do that quite a bit today, especially in the background. It also helps it to go on smoothly. And then, maybe don't do that in the foreground. Kind of like a regular painting, you would apply that over the canvas first. Just hopefully that helps. I think we've done a couple of palette knife paintings together, but not too many. Not too many, so I gotta kind of go over everything again because I forget to. All right, now I've got purple because this is a very blue purple, but I've got purple because I don't want too much green, but I do like a little bit of that green right in here. A little bit, because it's fall, in this painting at least. It's okay to have some of these greens on the tree still. The last holdout leaves. That's kind of pretty. So you can just work your knife around and around like that. Wipe it off when you go back into the purple. Nice. So just playing around kind of loosely, it's no big deal. Just kind of have fun with it for now. And we will tighten up later. But what's really nice is you get these big blocky impressionistic strokes. It's kind of nice. It just gives you a different feel, the palette knife paintings, and some people absolutely love them. I actually really enjoy them too. I really do. Should do more of them. Also, if you need a palette knife, go to the website and pick one up, because even just for basic paint mixing, it really is nice to have. Adding texture to stuff, because everybody knows texture sells oil paintings, right? Here's a really good example spot. So, you know, something like this, which looks quite a lot like a train wreck, goes to looking like something like this, which is starting to resemble some blurry background leaves. It goes from there to there in a matter of 2-3 minutes, something like that. So that's the only secret ingredient to this whole deal is a little bit of time, and it really doesn't take a whole lot, just a little bit. But you start out messy, and you work it slowly. And I don't really know how I was going to say it. Anyway, you just sort of slowly work it out into something that looks decent. All right, there you go. A little more light, just got to fill this area. And you can do it with the purpley mix, or you can do it with yellow. It really doesn't matter. I'm just keeping my eye on these negative space pockets. That's the most important thing in any painting, really. The darks, you know, the contrast, and your negative space pockets. And I think a lot of the time, the negative space pockets are more important. There, maybe I want this one even softer yet, because, not muddy, but just softer, because I'm going to paint on the close-up tree kind of in this area. So I should take off a lot of this paint. I want there to be less texture back here. Well, look at that. You get all these random colors appear when you do this because of the stain on the canvas. Whatever you put down first is what's going to be there when you scrape it away. That's why that brown's coming through right there, which we're actually going to use as shadows. What a bonus. There we go. So reduce the amount of paint back in this area. And it's okay for it to look slightly dull, because we've got brighter and prettier stuff happening over top, and you are going to use a little more paint than normal. Now I've got a slightly warmer and slightly lighter color mixed up here than the original sky or background tone. And you see I already started there, and you can actually punch holes in your leaves just by going over it carefully. You don't want it to mix too much, but a little mixing is okay because it just looks like leaves. So I'm going to come right down here. I'm going to place this and then just work it around, because I'm trying to create just the sense of a little extra light and interest in the painting. You see, when you're not working with much, you got to be kind of deliberate, you know, with what you do. You can't just allow the details to overtake the painting and it just looks really good because it's detailed or anything like that. You've got to look at the light and the shapes, because that's just about all you got to work with. This is very easy to do though, compared to with a brush painting, because everything is the same stroke. You don't have to worry about matching your strokes. You know, this is the same stroke as the leaf, which is pretty much the same stroke as everything else, because it's with the palette knife. There's not much different. You know, I might use the point here, or the full blade there, but it doesn't really, it's not gonna be very different. It doesn't really matter. So at least it's a little easier to kind of hide, you know, your order. If you want to do things out of order, it's a little easier. It's kind of a complicated way to say all that. All right, there we go. Ooh, a little warmer, a little pink. Ooh, a little touch of pink in through there. Those subtle color changes are going to make it. There. Brighten that spot up. Just look how hard you can mash down. If you need to soften or blend something, you just mash down hard. If you want it to be just pure the way it came off your palette, you push real soft. That's how you control that paint. Nice. You know, maybe one thing I wouldn't do, I wouldn't go in and lift off like that, because it will leave kind of this raised texture, which doesn't look like a palette knife. It looks like, I don't know, like a stippled brush, and that's not the effect. We want a smooth texture. And I pretty much mixed everything I had together and then added black to that. And that's what came out. I actually added a little red and black. Not bad. It didn't really matter what it is as long as it's dark, and I like the warmth, so I did put in that red. Turns out to be some sort of a brown, and I'm going to place that, dark brown of course, I'm going to place that around here and there toward the bottom. This is the second darkest color in the grass, and then the next darkest will be black. Right in the corner. Not much of it, just some. to get us a lot of beautiful, beautiful contrast. Just right there at the bottom. Don't overdo. All right. You see I spent just a few more minutes just highlighting the grass pretty much with yellows. It's just pulling straight down, quite a lot like if you were using a fan brush. All right, now remember, this is just blurry for now. We can take I was about to say we could take our brush, but we could take our palette knife and, you know, bring up blades of grass in the foreground. Let me show you what I mean. You know, just nothing on the blade. And you can kind of, you're not scratching through, but you're raising up using the paint that's on the canvas. You're raising up these textures like you would a liner brush. Not bad, huh? Just an interesting start. You kind of use the whole knife like that, and then just touch and get these little details. This is way too early. I'm just showing you because we're chatting about it, but way too early for that. Anyway, there you go. We'll continue with this. That's something you do toward the end, but not too many shadows till we get our trees in. And the plan is, we'll see if we change the plan. And obviously you'll know if we do, but the plan so far is that I would like to have every tree blurry, almost just, I don't quite know how we're gonna do it, but we're gonna try to make them all blurry except for one. And I want that one right here. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. There, this is looking decent. Just trying to get a little shadow in through here, especially kind of on the edges. It'll frame the painting in, make it look a little less flat. Because it's soft, it tends to go flat. So we'll pop these shadows in to remove that flatness. Grab some black and throw that in the corner. And try to drag some of it around. Good. Now I'm finishing up just sprinkling in a couple of purples in the grass, not too many. In fact, this may be overboard. See, I got this dark red. So that was actually one I mixed up by mistake, and I like this one better. That's a lighter purple. This dark red purple, I thought we would use it right down here in the grass so that we don't waste it. It's kind of pretty. But just helps to tie the whole painting together with color. We got some purples up there, we got some purples down here. Shadow grass. We can always cover it if we don't like it. It sounds good, right? All right, let's go ahead and wipe our knife off. Now we're going to start with the closest tree first, because that's exactly opposite from the traditional way to paint it. So that's why we're gonna do it. All right, let's go ahead and start. Let's start right here. Now I know what you're thinking, let's scrape it off, right? Well, somebody's thinking that, probably. Let's scrape it off so we don't have any of this color mixing. I think I want this color mixing because that will help keep it just slightly, there we go, different as we pull it down. And that tree stops right in the foreground, just almost off. The frame's probably gonna cover it. Oh, wow, nice. These, of course, are birch trees, and purple is a great base tone for it. This one's in front of everything else that's happening up here. Great. So the actual, I was going to expand on it and I didn't. The actual reason why I'm doing this one first is because it's the only one that matters. I want to get it placed in where I want it. I don't need to deal with all the other trees around it for a little bit here. I want to get this one established first, make sure I like it, make sure the placement is good, and then continue around it so that all the other trees will complement it instead of this one having to work around them, if you know what I mean. Good enough. Oh yeah, that's pretty nice. I think we might go a little thicker since this is the only thing that's going to be sharp. So I'll thicken it up slightly. Texture is okay. This is not a regular painting, you know, with the brush where texture is a bad thing in the underpainting. A little texture is okay because they don't tend to mix. You can glop them on and they won't mix. Nice. See that? You got warmth down here, a little cooler up there, back into some yellows up here, warm again. Make sure it's not sloppy. Make sure you get that nice crisp edge. But it's so easy. It's really simple, straightforward. This is really more or less kind of a beginner style painting, a beginner painting. Very simple, not a lot of elements in it. But what's in it is nice. So it's something you can tackle if you don't have a whole lot of experience and you don't have a whole lot of equipment. It does take more paint though, so probably buy a brush set with the amount of paint you use. At least I seem to go through a lot when I do this, so it's just something to think about. Nice, I like that yellow in the middle. All right, now that that's done, let's lighten our color with some white. If I can, Yeah, okay, I need to get some more white, but let's lighten the color real quick before I stop and do that. And oh, we're just having fun today. I'm not worried, I'm just having fun. Let's see about just dropping in a few, oh, I like that, distant trees. Misty and kind of blurry. That's exactly what we want. And you know, you can sort of have as many as you like. My hand's probably in the way. Sort of have as many as you like. Nice, I like the kind of abstract colors with going on here, but it almost looks like shadow. So that's nice. Now I've grabbed a little more white and I'm just pulling it out. You see I squirted out some fresh stuff there. And I'm going to just scoop up a little. Well, that's maybe too much. Let's scoop up a little less. There we go. All right, now we're going to kind of just apply it to the left side. You can do this several ways. I'm trying to do this without my fingers getting in your way. Hopefully that helps there. I have no idea how I'm holding this palette knife. Don't do what I'm doing here. It's hard to paint when you want other people to see what you're doing. And I'm just kind of pulling it along, just barely touching that edge. I can actually load the back side, might be better. See that? Just barely touching that edge. You're kind of depositing that buildup of paint right on the outside edge. And then as you work back, you know, a little thicker there on the edge. This is an oil painting. People pay for that sort of stuff. But as you work back, you kind of want it less and less pressure. So you're just allowing it to sort of break apart like that. Now we can get a little darker. I'm just doing a small section of the trunk here so you can see how it's done. Then I'm going to repeat it over and over again. I've got a slightly darker color. Just added some ochre to it, and then I'm just putting that right on in there. Nice. And we don't want too much of this warmth. It is a birch tree after all. Let's get us some black. There's some of our leftover purple. And then some of this, leaving enough to highlight other trees. Let's see what that does for us. Well, that's didn't always work out right the first time, does it? Let's change that slightly. There we go. Just a cooler shade now. All right, we can work with this. So just keep playing around with this. Maybe kind of mush it into the background there. You don't have to use, in fact, I would not use the same stroke over and over again. Now I'm on the right side of the tree, putting in some blue here, and I'm glad to be on the right side. It's easier for me to do it and show you guys without my hand being in the way. But you say just touch, and this is exactly how I was applying the highlight. The difference is I'm applying more pressure, and what that does, it allows it to mix a little, because I don't want that pure blue up here. Well, it's not pure blue. There it is right there. Messy blue. I don't want that messy blue up here. It would be too much, you know. This is maybe the most important part, even more than the highlight, is getting these little reflected lights in. Okay, it's not really more important than the highlight, but it's important because it makes the tree look round. That's a little bright, but you know what? It'll be toned down because I'm going to soften a lot of this. There, I just think that's so pretty. I really do. I love that. Just a touch here and there. Nice. And then wipe the knife off. I'm just gonna work it into the underpainting. There's a lot of yellow ochre that I placed up in the tree. So we may get green. I'm all right with that. There's moss or something growing on the tree. No big deal. There. Very, very nice. Doesn't take a whole lot, does it? Good. You can use the small edge of the knife too. Now I just went ahead and laid on a little bit of the same highlight color to these background trees, and that's not the important part. What I want to show you here is I'm going to slide my knife along and remove that paint now. See that? Just take it right off. Put it down on the paper towel. We don't want it there anymore because this is going to help create a misty, kind of blurry effect. This is sort of me like taking my blender brush and trying to soften the background. That's what I'm doing here. This is my blender brush today. Yeah, there we go. Nice. And I think, yeah, it's already looking softer. See how this one now looks closer than that one? So we'll need to do the same. It brightens them up a little, but it also makes them, well, it doesn't brighten them up. you know, the original step brightens them up, and now we're pushing them back. I hope that makes sense. We could have just left them alone, but they were too dark because it was just the underpainting color. So now you do have a highlight and a shadow, but it's very blurry. All right. Nice, looking good. Maybe just sort of touch up along the bottom. We do need to add we'll figure out exactly where our light's coming from, somewhere over here, and we'll add in our shadows. All right, we'll just keep doing this. Real quick, I just wanted to take a minute to let you guys know that all of the supplies, the paint and the brushes, or in this case, the palette knife that I'm using today and that I always use is linked down in the description below. So definitely go check it out. You can go to our website and order everything you need. So now I'm just working on these little dark spots that the birch trees have. And I'm not throwing them in at random, at least on this big tree. I'll probably throw them in at random on the other guys. They won't be near so dark. But anyway. Just get a few of these little birch tree spots in. There, okay, a couple of them are at random, but some of them are not. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Let's make it easy. I mean, this is the point is, this is supposed to be a really easy painting because you only have one tree to worry about. If the rest of the trees don't turn out, who cares? Because it's just not that important. This is easy. And if you don't like something, you cover it with a leaf. And if something looks a little funny, it's okay because this is supposed to be very impressionistic, and you allow your viewer to sort of come up with some of the details in their mind. Boy, that sure is easy. Just let them do it. Save us some effort. All right, so I'm just enjoying. I'm just having fun. I'm just finishing up, kind of tapping in a little bit of a shadow, not much, just a little dark color to represent a few lines. That's about it. I put a couple darker ones there, darkened up the corner. Okay, good enough. It's really, don't worry about that too much. Now we've got let's get some pure yellow out here. Let's see what this does. We can always dial it back, but it'd be fun to see what it looks like. Let's see, I'm just gonna set it right up here and touch. Obviously, your first few ones are gonna be yellow, and then they'll get more and more orange as you go. So reloading frequently to keep them more yellow. I'm using my little comma strokes. You thought you were gonna get away from those, didn't you? Nope, not today. Nice. I like that pure color. We don't need it everywhere, but a little bit of it's pretty cool. And it helps to separate, as I had a huge globby. Helps to separate the background from the foreground. I like that texture. Nice. And of course, you can use the back end of the knife. Ooh. Hard when you're picking up a lot of paint not to have it all over the place, but see that? Just a few little leaves like this. All right. And you can play around with that. You can add some yellow or add some white to your yellow. There, make it even brighter. You can just do anything, really anything that you want to do to make this stand out. Always wipe your knife off before you reload it though. Otherwise, your color will not stay very bright. All right, well, I think we're done. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, and brush line. Thanks for watching.